Hello. Hello. What's up? My name is Nick, and that's my phone. I saw talk of TikTok being un-TikToked. I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to try to comment. There we go. This is a place that I feel comfortable. The slightly slate color, what would you call this? A gray? A bluish, greenish gray? Push me down, please. The safe door. What color scheme is this? And can you change it? I've never tried to change my FL color scheme. Why am I trying to do it right now? I don't really know. Pop-ups. Oh, I just changed this by accident. I don't even know what I'm doing. How do you do it? General settings, probably? GUI, multi-mouse. It's gotta be like, it must be pop-ups. I don't know. I don't have the updated version. I feel like it's not like a new thing though, right? Maybe it's under view. Background. Set background color. Oh God, no, I'm gonna fuck myself up. All right, here we go. Let's have a listen to some music. This first one is called "I Still Dream of You" full draft. Wow, I'm not sure who made it, but let's have a listen anyway. And let me make sure that I'm not doing things that I usually do by accident. Hold on a sec. You guys probably couldn't hear that because I did fuck something up. I meant to set this to FL Studio audio. Haha, there we go. Why did nobody mention that? That's funny. Okay. We heard it through your speakers. Okay, that makes sense. So the music part of this is so quiet versus the drums and the 808. I dig the vibe of it, except this one note. It's not the right note. Besides that one boop. Like the guitar, is that a guitar? I can't really tell what it is specifically, but it's so buried underneath everything, and it's a very cool, it's a cool vibe, you know? Like, I don't think it should be buried. This is a cool beat. It's cool and chill, and I like it, but the drums are about 10 times louder than they should be. Or I guess everything else is 10 times quieter than it should be, because overall this isn't very loud, but like you can like visually see this spot. Look at how minuscule this is versus when the drums come in. But like it's pretty, I think it's just a mix thing. I think it really is. I keep thinking I'm hearing it like glitch out on me. I don't know if this is the move or not. Yeah, like overall the track is cool. The mix is what needs the most work, and it's just so that yes, the drums should kind of drive this style of music, but the musicality and all the cool ambience and stuff underneath is just buried too much. So I'd bring that up. You know, I'd almost have, if the drums are this loud, I'd probably have your music stuff about this loud, give or take. And obviously doing it by ear is the way to go. But if this waveform was like that, and then the drums were on top of it, I think it would be I'm gonna sneeze. Bless me. It would be way easier to get into the vibe of it if that stuff was louder. So that's what I got to say about that one. It's a cool beat. It's a cool vibe. Just get the mix a little bit tighter and go from there. All right, moving on. We got Is Kayab. I think I said it right this time. Melodic dubstep, very whip. Okay. I'm not sick. It's allergies, seasonal. It's terrible. I do have room for one or two more. Yes, just throw them in the whatchamacallit is still open. The thread in the Discord server. Okay, so my thoughts leading up to the dubstep drop is that the melodically it kind of seems a little random. I don't remember what the chords sounded like. I don't remember what the melody sounded like. It just was all kind of whimsical. Yeah, it just seems like almost like you didn't pick a motif or a theme. You're just kind of like going with the flow a little too much, you know? I think, sorry, I hit the mic. I think having a more structured call and response or some sort of melody that has a theme to it. Because right now it just kind of, it seems like it's just like the lead sound, the melody is just kind of like slithering its way through the track like a little snake or something. And I didn't, there's nothing memorable about it. You know, I can't recall any of that melody when I think back about it leading up to this part. I can't even really recall the chords because everything is just a little too, it almost feels a little too haphazard or I think random is the best way to put it. I'm not saying that there's nothing that maybe there's something you could narrow in on. Maybe there's like kind of an idea of a melody in there somewhere and you have to extract it and elaborate on it. I think I try to combine those two words together. Yeah, I think that's what I would say about the intro part so far. Is this Skrillex circa 2012? I feel the same way about this too. I mean, like your production and your mixing is certainly getting better. But the musicality part to this is I never know where it's gonna go. The next like chord or the next note. It's unpredictable in not a good way. It's just it doesn't follow. It's hard to follow. I think that's the best way to boil it down. So this chord progression all the way up to that last chord is good. You could just leave it at like that last chord is just kind of sour to me. To me, it would sound better if it almost just stayed at this. But then see, it doesn't go back to, and this is pretty much my point. I think that I like this chord progression at the start, but then it just kind of goes and does a whole other chord progression. Which means the phrasing is so long. Sorry, my brain is not working great today. The chord progression, the phrasing on it is so long that we can't get into it because it's almost like it's like trying to memorize a big passage of words as opposed to just memorizing a single line. You know, you can get used to this chord progression if it's this long, but when you just continue to elaborate and create more chords, it just doesn't. Yes, I can see YouTube chat. I've been ignoring some of your messages because they're inappropriate. I can see whatever you can see. I can see the screen that you are seeing. So yeah, I think by the sounds of things, you are you're making good progress in production and mixing and getting things loud. It sounds a lot better than even 6 months ago. The stuff that you were sending in, but the chords are shorten your phrases, make the phrases easier to memorize for the listener, easier to get into. Don't just switch it all up on us. You had a good thing going here for a bit, and then you just kind of went off and took us on a journey through some other melodic vibes. Again, with the chords, I think that's, yeah, I'm just sounding like a broken record at this point. But to me, what I would focus on if I were you is just a little bit more of the music theory and understanding when to deviate from 4 chords. You know, all chord progressions don't have to be 4 chords long. But there's a reason why the 4 chords are so, like the 4 chord thing in pop music, why it's so popular is because it's easy for the listener to learn it and then play along with it in their head. You know, they feel like they're part of it, as opposed to when you have really long, complicated, not very typical chord progressions. Now we're in a constant state of trying to figure out what chord is coming next and always feeling a little bit lost when we're listening to it because we're not sure where it's going. So that's what I would focus on if I were you. But you're definitely doing well in your journey to dubstep godliness. I'm your 100th message today. Do I get a medal? No. Okay, thank you for sending. Let's check out King Cobra Sanctify. So this would be, in my opinion, this would be a lot better if there was audible bass. Like I touched my subwoofer and it was moving, but I can't hear it. I don't know what tempo this is or what key this is, I mean, and you know, even assuming it's a key is maybe an assumption. Let's do. Yeah, it is definitely low. I think everything you have here is sick, but we need bass in the drop.
Your attention, please.
Like, what would this sound like if let's try to figure out what key it's in just based on the other instrument. It's in C, which is pretty low.
Your attention, please.
Even C, even me playing that low C, even me playing the low C is it's very deep, but it's better than what's there currently because there's not really anything there in terms of audible sound. Like you can see this is a very, I'm sure we could calculate what frequency that is. It's very low and it's very inaudibly low. Even probably with a huge festival setup, I don't know if you'd even feel that. I think it's just straight up too low. Like it's probably actually like 5 to 10 hertz if I were to take a guess. Let's put it up an octave and see where it lands. I can't even tell. I can't even tell what note it is because it's so low. So maybe keep everything you've got there, but now add in a kick drum that has an audible thump to it and a sub bass underneath of it that's playing a note that we can feel in our chests to add to it. Now, the track is in the key of C. It wouldn't be a bad idea to push the whole thing up 2 semitones to D and then do what I just said. I don't think you're going to lose anything. You're still going to have everything here. You're just going to have like that nice deep bass to support it from underneath. Besides that, it's super cool. It's very, it's got a lot of character. Yeah, I think this would just be so much. It's already very cool, but it just the bottom falls out of it when you get to the drop because there's no audible bass. So maybe add some bass. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's move on. That's what I think. Thank you for sending. It is a very cool track. I just would love to have. I'd love to have sub to sit in while I'm hearing all of these interesting sounds that you've created. All right. Let's check out chord work thing. You know, everything that chord sounds in, there's no mistaking that it's a chord song. I don't know. I don't know what to say. This is like such a Gran Turismo, but if it was made for the Super Nintendo, especially the revving up of the motor. I think the winning combo for this is going to be to maintain the silliness, but find the modern edge, and it's kind of like chiptune bangers. Like you need to be authentic to the chiptune vibe, but if you can nail that balance of like authentically chiptune with the production behind it to make it like sound modern and edgy, I think that's going to be the win for this. And I think the way you do that is modern techniques like better drums. Now, like the drums that are there are kind of silly, right? And the sounds that are there are silly as well. The notes they're playing are silly. Everything here is kind of a little bit silly, which is fine. That's not a bad thing. It's the style that you have managed to create with this stuff. But if you can nail the balance between having the silly sounds and the silly chords and the silly melodies, but add in like some good like modern production sounds, I think that's the direction I would go if I were you, and I think that you would be able to make some pretty cool shit by doing that. But you are gonna have to get better drum sounds, better house drum loops, like all the drums that are in there now kind of sound like a drum machine, like they're all coming from a single drum machine. Like this sort of shit. Imagine just having, let's see what the tempo is. Fit to tempo. It's definitely not 180, but we'll give it to it for now. In Before Cheese tries to make whatchamacallit, a prediction, and then if he's right, he'll say how smart he is, and if he's wrong, he won't say anything. Well, it's definitely not 180, so we can just get rid of that. 120. It's a very 120 song. Anyway, let's now put and I'm just throwing random loops in there, but you get my idea. Like all the sounds that are in there now sound like discrete sounds. They sound like this is a single hi-hat, this is a single kick drum, this is a single clap, and I can picture the pattern like the step sequencer pattern. Now, obviously, you don't want to just grab a loop that sounds great and throw it on, but when you grab a loop like this, there's a bunch of nuanced stuff in there that you can't really create necessarily with a one-shot sound, right? And what you can do is now cut that up and use it as a one-shot sound, and it maintains all these little nuanced sounds that are in there. And then, because for all we know, this hi-hat in this loop that I just cut, it could be made out of 18 different sounds, and whoever made the loop may have masterfully crafted that hi-hat. So you're kind of losing out when you only use like discrete drum machine sounds, you know, unless that's the style you're going for, in which case I'll just go fuck myself. Any room for another track? I'm not sure. We're still waiting on one, and you can throw one in there, and I'll see. I'll probably be able to get to it. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I think that your wacky, silly style is cool, and it's very you, and it's very unique and easily recognizable. I think the thing you got to do is now bring it a little bit more in into the modern sounds with better drums and maybe some side chaining and better production techniques. But the trick will be to not lose the silly stuff. Cool. All right, let's move on. Coder B5, funky beat I'm working on. This reminds me of a Michael Jackson song. So that funky synth bass sounds like a Juno or something. That should be... That's quite buried in the mix. Dum bum ba bum bum. What is that? It sounds like a Michael Jackson song. It's not Thriller, is it? I think it is Thriller. Yeah, this is sick. I think that... like the Juno bass needs to come up and then keep going with it. I don't really have any other issues. I love this sound. It's sick. It's a funky track. You're right. Oh, actually, you know what? I got an acapella for this. Let's figure out the tempo. Oops. $118? This is gonna work way too well. Just gotta get the timing right. All right, here we go. It needs more loud. Anyway, that's just an acapella I made, and someday I'll probably use it for something silly, but for now it gets used in here. Fuck the tempo. I don't know why I'm having... Dude, my brain today, I don't know what's going on. It's not working. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. It's a super cool track. I think your Juno funky bass is buried. And yeah, that's it. Do I ever sell samples? No. Never. I've never sold a sample in my life. This is interesting. What is this? What is going on? Let's have a listen to Freeze Drum Synthesis Loud Transient and Audio Type Shit Warning. That was cool. I don't understand this DC offset bullshit though. That's interesting. Especially because I can't really hear this. You can see it. It's so obvious, but you can't really hear it. I think your drum, I think your drums are not... They almost sound like hollow or something. Bullshit, Aiden. You can't fucking hear that. You're just saying that. I think your drums sound hollow. They have like top end and they have like a thump, but there's not much in the middle. Also, maybe it's just a little too short. Are we doing the 174 type shit? Oh my God. One. What in the fractional tempo is going on here? Is it 157.5? No. Is it 156.5? I don't know what BPM this is. It's not 160 and it's not 150. It's around 156. But 155 is too slow. And 157... Whatever, it doesn't matter. Interesting, though, that the tempo is some weird fractional thing. I don't know. I just think the drums... I understand it's like a very basic start of an idea, and it's cool. I just think the drums are just not quite there. And nor are any of the drums that I've clicked. I guess I hate to always go to the same folders, but don't we all? Put this up a couple. I don't know. I don't really know what to tell you for this one. It's so basic. It's hard to give you feedback. You know what I mean? Like it just sounds like it's the very start of something, and it's cool, and I like it. The drums just are. They're not really. I'm not losing my mind. You know. That's pretty much. I think the only thing I can tell you for this. It's such an early whip. You know. What's the DC offset saying? We haven't really figured it out. Aiden says he can hear it, but I know for a fact he can't. That sounds exact. There is no modulation to that. Yeah. Anyway, that's it's a cool start. Keep going and send it once it's a little more developed. I think that's what I have to say. All right, Cat Attack Self-Inflicted featuring visuals. Where are the visuals? Where are the visuals somewhere? Yes, send me the visuals. Send me the visuals and we'll come back. We'll move on. Okay. Let's check out Bleed Y, and then we'll come back to Cat once he sends me the visuals.
Myself why I keep on dreaming of all the ways I compromise my deepest feeling. I know I didn't want to let you down, but I have my reasons. Gotta pull myself together, gotta find the meaning.
Okay, this sounds way better than the last time you sent it. The vocals, I can actually hear the words and they're nice and clear, and you still have the effect there, but it's underneath the vocals. I think this is a big step forward.
But I have my reasons. Gotta pull myself together.
The one thing that's sticking out to me is that I feel like the vocals aren't done. And I'm not talking about the vocals that are there. I'm talking about the vocals that aren't there. I like
Myself won't listen. I mean it.
I feel like there's no chorus. I feel like what you have is great. What is there is great. But then when there's like these like the parts that come after the vocal is done, I feel like there should be like a chorus there.
Gotta pull myself together. Gotta find a meaning.
Like you could drop the drums out here, have the atmosphere, and have like your chorus happen, because a lot of the time with this style of music, the chorus isn't happening on the drop. It could, but you could also drop out your drums here and keep all of the cool sounds and deliver the chorus. And I know that that's probably not the feedback you want, because maybe you've tried and have a hard time continuing to write or something, but maybe not. But to me, when I listen to it, I love everything that's happening, and then it gets to this point, and I'm just like, where did the vocals go?
Reasons. Gotta pull myself together.
And I think like it. Okay, so what you have is, you have what sounds to be a verse. There's storytelling happening. There's a lot of words, it's not a lot of repetition, and that's all good and everything. But now it's time for the hook, and it's time to pick the idea of the song, or a phrase from, it could be from the verse, or it could be an elaboration from the verse. It's time to pick something that you think really portrays the idea of this song and create a hook out of it and deliver the hook in a way that feels hooky. And I think the way to do it is, like I said, drop the drums out, maybe filter things down, and like we still need a hook. I think that's what I'm trying to say, is this song is everything that's there is great, but it feels incomplete without a hook that's really driving the idea of the song home.
My head conceding.
Like right there again.
Find a meaning.
Maybe like falsetto shit. I don't know. I'm not going to write the song for you, but I'm just saying that from my point of view, it feels like we have... My hand hit the spacebar button. It feels like we have a verse, but we don't have a chorus. That's what it sounds like. I don't know if Bleed's here or not, but he can watch the VOD. Besides that, the mix, everything you've done to what is here sounds great. Like everything that is here, all the individual sections are great, and the mix is sounding a lot better. The vocals are nice and clean. Like I said, they cut through, I can hear them. But now it's time to maybe write a hook. And I know that sometimes is intimidating and challenging, because I've been there. But it sounds like Kadia has ideas for the chorus. So there you go. Involving other people is a great way to get out of a writer's block or a rut, if you are in such a thing. Anyway, yeah, dude, sounds great. Everything you've done sounds great. Now write a hook. The end. All right. Kat has sent over let's see. This is the track with... Let's do this. Oh, here. Yeah, okay. Check this out. This is Kat's track with the visuals. Hold on. before I do this, sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to do this because I want there. Yes, Bleed, we just finished yours. Sorry to interrupt it, Kat. I just wanted to make sure that I can see what you guys are saying. You can see what they're saying too. Okay, let's start over. Ooh. I wonder what that said. That was sick, dude. I really like that. I wonder what this says though. Hold on. Let's see. I'm going to get my phone out and do this. Translate. Wherever translate is. Translate. What the I know I have a thing that does translation. Oh. Okay, here we go. Translate. I swear to God if it says something. Wait, what? It's having a hard time. Oh. It says love. Aw. Good job. It would have been pretty funny if it did say penis, but anyway, I like that it said love. This is great, man. The visual aspect to this is very you, and it's very creative, and I think it completes the package of the Cat music, and now it just kind of further drives home the vibes that you are creating with your tracks, you know? So I think it's great. I think you should continue to go down this path and create art in this way and see where it takes you, because I don't really know what to do with these. I mean, obviously put them on YouTube and stuff like that, but like this could turn into something even bigger than that. Maybe you have like a TV in a window somewhere that's like playing these things, or so. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I think it's dope, and I think it fits the music, and it feels like a complete package to me. So keep doing this shit. I don't know where you got that footage. It reminds me of like an indie game, kind of the font that you've chosen. But yeah, I mean, even like imagine having an album of all of your stuff, but the album is a movie, like a short film of your music and your visuals put together in a way that kind of tells a story, not literally, of course, but it tells some sort of story in this kind of cryptic kind of world that you've created. And that's what the album is. That's super cool. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, sick. I have nothing bad to say and great things to say. So thank you for sending. All right, let's check out Aiden Dodge, Over the Red Line. Over the Red Line. Okay. Also, hold on a sec here. There. Okay, let's have a listen.
Go over the red line. Go over the red line. Go over the red line.
Yeah, he was inspired by Sawyer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. The silence is wonderful. I mean, I'm happy that you are exploring you're exploring different styles. But holy fuck. I don't know what to tell you on this one. I think that you are. It sounds like you were exploring Sawyer's style, and that's fun, cool. I'm not sure if it's necessary. If you love it and you're having fun, then keep doing it. I typically don't have any feedback to give Sawyer, because I'm not in this world and this music doesn't necessarily resonate with me. But hey, if you're having fun, keep doing it. And I'm sure you're learning shit along the way too. So it's not a bad thing. I just don't know what to tell you. The piano is insane. It kind of reminded me of.
Go over the red line.
I don't know. But it's cool, and I'm glad you're having fun. And I guess that's what I have to say about it. Okay, let's move on. Sovereignty. You get me high in all one word. I like that. Yes, that's what it was. It was Lewis Cole. It was a Lewis Cole song that. But now what song? No, I can't go down this path. Yeah, I agree with Raham. Like the track was cool until it just kind of did the same thing for too long. Like we're just sitting on the tonic for the end. Well, I mean, I don't think we moved off of the tonic at all yet. No, it's just sitting on da 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 na 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 na. Like, I think what you have here is cool, but I think that you're leaning on it for too long. Like, it's just not enough is progressing for me to feel like we're going somewhere. It kind of just feels like we're listening to a loop. Like, I like that we're going down 2 semitones here. Probably might be repeating things a bit too long. Yeah, it's just when you listen to a track, you know, there's a certain we should feel like we're moving in a direction. We should feel like we're constantly moving towards something, either building up to something or now we're at that something and we're in it for a little bit, but then something changes and it feels like now we're building towards something else and then maybe it breaks down. To me, like I said, you have, like, this is how long? It's about 3 minutes long, and to me, what I've heard could be one drop. Like, I think you have about one drop's worth of ideas in this entire 3-minute song. So what I mean by that is you have like a cool sound design. I will say that I wasn't really a big fan of when you went to this section. This was my least favorite section out of it, was when you... but anyway, that's besides my point. So... So like from here to here is kind of like your first part of your drop, and then we could probably go grab something from here for like their second part of the drop. No, this sounds more like an outro, or like maybe like after the drop happens. Anyway, like basically what I would do is do two of the, maybe just two of what you've already got. So. And let's see what the tempo is. Thank you, 136. And then the downbeat is here. Not yet, not that. So like, to me, your 3-minute song could kind of be boiled down to these two sections. And then I know there are other variations. I'm not saying it's all exactly the same, but from a listener's point of view, the changes are too subtle to feel like there's a lot of different parts to the song. To the listener who isn't as concerned about like, oh, the delay is turned up a little bit more during this section, or I've added this new percussive thing, like they don't necessarily see that as a new, or hear that as a new section. That's just kind of like a pickup or a nice little additional thing added to it. But to me, these were the two sections. We have You get me high, dun 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 dun. Like that's the one section, and then the other section is when you do kind of the same thing, but then you go down. You've also opened the synth up a little bit, but like the drums are all very. I hope that makes sense. Like, and I'm sure it probably does. Everything in here is sick though. Like this is it sounds very cool. It's the arrangement that needs work, and and to try and create some flow of energy from like for example, right off the very start of the song, we have full sub. You know what I mean? Now, that's not to say you can't do that, but we have full sub from the moment the song starts almost until the song ends with a couple little break sections. Like, why not have this break section longer and bring in some chord progression or ambience or something just to kind of, because it kind of feels like we went from like almost full drop to delayed vocal build up to back to full drop again. And then we were in that full drop for a while. Like this is cool. This last part is cool too, but it doesn't feel like you haven't managed our anticipation effectively, I don't think, in this track. I wasn't like gagging for the drop, you know. I wasn't like, oh my god, I need this drop. It just kind of was like, oh, there's the drop. Now we're in the drop, you know. Like you didn't tease me at all. You just kind of delivered the drop. Here it is. So to me, what it sounds like you need to do is take all of the great stuff that you've created, because honestly, there is a lot of really good sounding stuff. I think the sub is a bit overwhelming, but that's kind of not the most important thing. Take everything you've created and think of them like you've created like this toolkit to write a song with. It's not a complete toolkit. I do think that you need to maybe find a chord progression to use in the build up or something like that. But kind of take this and like push it way over there, and then try to like create a journey. Create a journey from start to finish with builds and stuff, and use these sections that you've created and elaborate on them and experiment with them, and just try to create more of a journey that feels like we have started somewhere, we were building towards something, we got that something, you know what I mean? Too long didn't remake a song, not a drop. There, thank you, Raham. That's pretty much it. Cool. But a chord progression, you'd find a chord progression you like. That's going to help a lot, because then you're not going to feel like you're just sitting on that one note forever, right? Blah, 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 blah. Sounds great. Thank you for sending. Okay. Simulcats, Risk It. Let's have a listen.
Hear the cries, hear them echo through the desert sky. In the light, you will find. When there's love, you can't stop it, it's a rising sun. When there's love, don't you dare try to fight it all. Go ahead, let your heart and your body fall. Go on and risk it all. Go on and risk it all. Don't you dare try to fight it all. Go ahead, let your heart and your body fall. Go on.
Okay, tell me about the vocals. There's something strange going on with the stereo field. I can't quite put my finger on it. But where, like, are the vocals just from a pack? Were they naughtily ripped out of a track?
Don't you dare try to fight it all. Go ahead, let your heart and your body fall.
They sound good. Like what they're doing sounds good, but the just the placement of them or something. It feels congested in the stereo. I did use a stereo enhancer on them since they were completely mono in the past. Maybe that's what I'm hearing. I wouldn't do that. I think that's what's fucking with me is just like a stereo enhancing kind of thing. I would, maybe use some delay or maybe use I don't know, just a little bit of reverb or something, or get a bit more creative rather than just slapping a stereo enhancer tool. Oh shit. So they have reverb and they have delay on them already, but it's mono? The delay and reverb is mono? Oh, you mean you've added that on after the fact. Okay, I see what you're saying. I would try see what it sounds like if you just take the stereo enhancer off of it. I really think there's just something that it just sounds fucky to me. Like there's just something fucky about, and that's why if you noticed, I opened it up and I went to the imager to look at, So it's not, I'm not just saying don't use a stereo enhancer because it's bad. I'm like, I heard it and it was fucking with me, and it makes sense that that's what it is. Anyway, let's keep going.
Hear the cries, hear them echo through the desert sky. In the light, you will find. When there's love, you can't stop it, it's a rising sun. When there's love.
What would this section sound like without all the percussion in it? I actually really liked it when it was... What if you pulled out like all the 16th note percussion stuff and you just had like the bass and the kick and the vocal? That would be cool. And then bring the percussion back in at some point.
Don't you dare try to fight it now. Go ahead, let your heart and your body fall. Go on and risk it all. Don't you dare. Go ahead, let your heart and your body fall. Go on and risk it all.
I would boost up this kind of frequency range in the vocals, and I would pull a little bit out of her fundamental, but I'm a little hesitant to recommend that because that might be that problem might be emphasized due to the stereo enhancer, but I am hearing it's almost like I have water in my ear or something. I think that's kind of that's the effect that I'm getting from probably the stereo enhancer. Like, especially right there when she does the thing. Like, right, that's very resonant. I know she's saying come on and risk it, but it kind of sounds like she's saying come on and riz me. Anyway, it's it's a cool track. I like the track. I know I'm hung up on the sound of the vocals, and I don't think I need to talk anymore about that because I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
Don't you dare try to fight it off. Go ahead, let your heart
I would start with trying to fix that. I would start with trying to fix the sound of the vocals and stay away from like stereoizers or stereo enhancers. Try to get a bit more creative to create that stereo width that you're after. And you don't even really need that much stereo width in a track like this for the vocals, I don't think. I think the vocals, besides like the delay and the reverb that spreads it out, that could just be enough.
let your heart and your body. Don't you dare try to fight it.
And then the next thing I would say is I like all the percussion you have in there. I'm just wondering if you could bring them in, phase them in a little bit differently. So like
When there's love, don't you dare try to fight it off.
I don't know, because I'm not really good at this style. So maybe if you took out the top drums or you simplified the top drums a little bit in this part, maybe it loses that style. But I do just find that when the drop happens, I'm kind of overwhelmed with busyness. And everything that's in there all makes sense. And after I listen to it for a few bars and I kind of piece together the different parts in my head, then I get it. But typically you introduce elements a little bit more gradually, so we have a chance to feel the vibe of the drop and the vocal, and then okay, now we add in the hi-hat, okay, now we add in the chicka chickas, so that, to me, if I was making this track, I would probably drop more simple and then bring stuff in.
Don't you dare try to fight it off. Go ahead, let your heart.
Yeah, but see, there's also that there's like another synth besides the bass that's in there. So we've got like a very busy bass line, a very busy drum, like main drums and top drums, the vocals, and that other synth sound. And so when you drop with all of that, we have to, as the listener, we have to get accustomed to all of these things and try to listen to them, one on one. And then, so typically what I would do is I'd pull a few of those parts out, focus mostly on what the bare minimum to establish the groove and the vocals. And then as the drop progresses, start bringing in those elements and introducing them one at a time. Instead of like trying to introduce a room full of your friends to somebody new all at one time, you individually, one at a time, this is this person, get to know them a little bit. Okay, now this is this person, get to know them. And now you can enjoy them in a room together at a party or whatever, because you've individually got to know each individual a little bit. But yeah, it's a cool vibe. I think you have achieved the UK style, whatever style this you said it was. It sounds legit to me. So good job and keep going. Okay, next up we got Shingo Nakamura, Wither, Swiss Cheese Remake. Okay. I don't know what you mean. I may have done a little widening on the hi-hat. I don't know what that means. That ain't me, man. I don't have, this is doing nothing. I just use this for the, this. And there's nothing happening except this limiter. Something happened. Yeah, I mean, like this style of music, and I'm assuming you just kind of remade this one for one. The style of music is very, it's trance. I mean, it's slow paced build, evolving, you know, and so I won't really comment on that. In terms of the sound design, I guess, which is what you were focusing on with this. I don't know if I love the clap. I like all the atmospheric stuff that the swells and stuff. They all sound good. The fake saxophone is not doing it for me. You've got some fuckery happening in the bottom end. Right here. Do you have a sub bass and a top bass? Is there maybe some interaction between the two of them? To me, the sub just kind of like every once in a while the sub will just sound extra loud and then go back to not being extra loud. Yeah, I can kind of hear like your filter bass with the bam bam, like the plucky thing, but I'm really only mostly hearing the sub on it. I'm not really hearing, only every once in a while will I hear like the filter cutoff doing a thing. Like right there. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. So like if this was, say this was just your bass track, right? I would try to emphasize the top end because the character of the bass is really getting lost in the muck of the sub. But I think the bass sounds cool when I can hear it, but it's underneath everything except when it plays at specific strategic times it cuts through. And also the top drums, like the hats and stuff, they're like just in the middle. If I solo just the sides. Yeah, I think like it's okay to have a hi-hat in the middle like that, but maybe having layers, having a wider hi-hat layer because right now the hi-hat it felt very much down the center to me, and that's why I checked it out. I think your sound design sounds good, except the trumpet thing just sounds cheesy to me, which, you know, like, it's pretty hard to not sound cheesy when you're playing a fake trumpet. But when are you gonna learn to do just a light master? Like, when are you gonna just start doing this? And I mean, I even have this normalized, you know. I mean, like, on one hand, I'm not upset that you're not absolutely destroying stuff with a mastering chain, but at the same time, at some point, you're going to have to get this overall volume up to release stuff, right? So I just don't have time to do it. It takes five, like, just to put a limiter on it, just to get even if you're barely touching the limiter, right? We're barely tickling the limiter, but now the track is like of a proper volume. I like that it sounds good without the mastering though. Like, I just am wondering, like, at some point you're gonna have to start practicing the mastering part. Anyway, that's what I have to think. That's what I think about it and what I have to say about it. Words. Cool. Let's move on. We got Ragestone, Intergalactic Express, almost done. There we go.
Welcome abroad to the Rage-class intergalactic space frigate Emerald Herald. Our frigate is equipped with a powerful air defense system. In the event of a pirate attack, you have nothing to worry about. Just look out the windows and enjoy. Here it comes. The pirate attack is over. Thank you for trusting our company. We're about to fight a huge pirate frigate, so come to the banquet hall and relax. The rest is up to us.
That was sick. Yeah,
Russia Inc. We bought them.
I'm trying to think of things to recommend, and I'm having a hard time. My first thought was that maybe when the claps hit, sometimes they don't always cut through quite enough. Like they're
We bought them.
because all of like the wub sounds are so loud that the clap just kind of feels like they're mixed in with the rest of the sounds. But like it's pretty dope. I mean, I think it maybe could use like a melody somewhere in the breakdowns. It's kind of just very atmospheric, and then you have like the pirate dialogue going on. Maybe it would feel a little less it would feel a little more structured if it had some sort of melody, even not like a big long crazy epic melody, just some sort of hooky part. Like the drops are great and insane, and the breakdowns just I kind of just feel like they're there to take up the space between the drops. I also found that this kind of fake out section was quite long of fake out, but that's kind of just a taste thing. I probably would I'd fake the audience out a little less, like for a little less long. But besides having a bit more of a hook or a melody or something, because to me this sounds a bit like sound design masturbation, and not necessarily in a bad way, because it does sound good. But at the end of the day, if I were to try to explain this, and this is always the litmus test or whatever it's called, the test that I apply to my music is, can I explain this to somebody with my mouth? Can I be like, hey, do you know the song that goes, and then I say something, or I repeat something from the track, and I'm not really sure, besides like the stuff about the pirates.
The rest is up to us.
And it could be something as simple as just at the end of every X amount of bars, there's a little do-do-do-do-do-do-do, like there's like some little melodic hook or something. But right now, if I were to try to explain this to somebody by like mimicking the song, like humming it, I don't think I could do it. So that's something to think about. I think it's sick. Like I'm not saying it's not great. It's just, that's a test that I think that it would fail, where I couldn't just be like, it's the song that goes do 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 bow wow wow wow, like, because it's everything that's in there is so in your face, and it doesn't necessarily have like a theme to it. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I think it's a sick track. Don't get me wrong. I just think it would be even sicker if it had some little identifying hook, motif, melody, little thing somewhere periodically throughout the track, so that it has like a bit more of a firm identity in my brain. Okay, that's what I think. Thank you for sending. Let's check out Oxidized Life Raft featuring Jane with a Y. Even just a catchphrase. Yeah, that is how a lot of that style of music is nailed down to an idea, is with a pre-drop vocal. Okay, here we go. I don't know about to be, because that's 3.5 minutes in. So there's I love the vocals. I love the strumming of whether it's a ukulele or a small guitar or something. To me, it's spread out a little too thin. Like, and maybe I'm being a little bit too ADHD about it. Maybe I'm not having the patience that I should have for a song like this, but I love all, like, where was it? Was it? Like, that's sick. That's amazing. But if I wasn't listening to this in order to give you feedback, I wouldn't have made it that far. And, maybe that's just because I'm not necessarily into this style of music, but also it's a long time to wait between these moments that I like. And it scares away the ADHD havers. Yeah, and the reason why I kind of struggle to give you this feedback is because, hey, if this is your art and this is what you think it should be, and you want it to be difficult for people that with low attention spans, and you want, because you feel like you've deserved something, or that's part of it, then don't change that. I'm not trying to suggest that you change that. I'm just letting you know that there's lots of great moments in this, but for me listening to it, there's a lot of moments where I'm just kind of waiting for the next moment to happen, right?
How am I supposed to wake up?
Kind of a jam session turned into a full song. If I were you, I'd just save it as a new project and then treat it like let's turn this into a full-on pop song. Just see what it's like, we'll get to the big part. I don't know what the big part is, but just see what it's like. If you if you trim all of the fat and you have all of these moments and they flow a bit more typically, or they flow a little bit more like pop, just see what it's like. And maybe you'll determine that, yeah, I don't like that at all. I prefer it stretched out like this. But maybe you might find that somewhere between the two extremes is the best place for this piece of art. I think it's worth at least experimenting.
I could be your life raft tonight. I could be your life raft tonight.
Oh, I hit the spacebar. Fuck. I mean, like, yeah, it's one of those things. Like, it's sick. It's a sick piece of art. Do you want it to be more accessible? Then I would change some things. If you don't want it to be more accessible, then I wouldn't change anything. You know, like if it was me making the track, I would try to maintain all of the stuff that makes this great, but I would try to deliver it in a more easily digestible package, right? But that's just me. I mean, art doesn't have to be accessible to make it art, to make it good, to make it valuable. It's just there's the thing that bothers me is that there are some really great moments, genuinely great moments in this that I think a lot of people wouldn't make it to. But maybe that's also what makes it great. I don't think I have any feedback, I think is what I'm trying to say. It's art, it's great, it's unique. Not everybody's gonna like it, and that's okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks for setting. It was honestly it's really good. I just kind of wish that it was a bit more condensed, you know, a little bit or something. Okay, here we go. And also like the fact that like you're strumming the same chord. Imagine if there was a chord progression and it was just, I don't know, I keep wanting to push it towards like the indie pop kind of side of things, and that's gonna take it out of where it's at now. So whatever. I don't know. Food for thought. Let's have a listen to Nemkai Future Bound Dangerous Remix Submission Demo.
Right between us, when you lift your head, yeah, and your eyes lock on to mine. Way that I'm rushing, some other space we're in. Cutting drops, it's like we've stopped time. Danger, dangerous kind of danger. Dangerous kind of danger. Dangerous electricity goes straight past us. Something jumps to get like sunlight on my skin. Some other space we're in. The precipice I can't resist. Pull me right to the edge of overdrive. Dangerous kind of danger. Dangerous kind of danger. Dangerous electricity.
So to me, from a production standpoint, or maybe even just a mix standpoint, I find there's a lack of there's it's very bright and very deep, but the very middles. Yeah, I think overall the track is scooped, and I'm not suggesting you go and do this in the master. I'm suggesting you go and find out what is scooped about it. I think what it is okay, I think this is what it is. So you've got your sub bass down the center. It sounds like a pure sine wave or a very heavily filtered square or something, but it's mostly just the fundamental frequency. It's very deep, very loud, and then it's in the center, obviously, as it should be. And then the distorted bass is very bright and very spread, hard left and hard right. And they don't feel like they're the same thing. They feel like they're two separate elements, and that's typically not what you really want to achieve when you're doing like sub bass separation. You want to make it feel like one cohesive instrument that just has an impossibly solid bottom end, right? But like it sounds like the sub is right in my face, and then it sounds like the character distorted bass is like off in the distance, hard left, hard right. And there's not much connecting them in terms of frequency and also stereo field. So maybe try to I don't know if you have like your high pass set too high on your distorted bass or something like that. Maybe bring that down a little bit. Also, to me, it sounds pretty hard panned. Let's see. Go here. This is interesting too. See, unless you're doing it for an effect, there should usually be some connection between the side channels and the mid channels on most of your elements, unless you're like a rock band that's doing like, you know, doubled guitars and stuff like that. But when I click side, there's no snare in the side channels at all. The kick and snare are just purely mono, which I don't know, maybe isn't a big deal, but I'm feeling it. The track just feels segmented in terms of production. Like it just feels like there's individual elements that are kind of not touching each other. That's the best way I can describe it. I would try to bring bring in some low mids and connect, like maybe solo just your sub bass and your distorted bass and fuck with it until it sounds like one bass part and not like a sub bass and a distorted bass. And you might find that you have to, I wouldn't make it mono, but bring the distorted bass a little bit in towards the center and extend the frequency down towards the sub bass a little bit more. And you could also maybe distort your sub a little bit, add a little bit of harmonics, you know, second, third harmonics up, just to cause a little bit of connection between the two. You don't want phase cancellation down in the sub, but after you get past that bottom, the fundamental frequency, and you go up to like the second harmonic and above, you can have some phase stuff happening. It's not the end of the world because you still have that solid bass, right? So try to get a little bit more connection between those two bass elements.
Like sunlight.
I also find that the vocals are buried, and I think they're overly affected. I don't know if that's how they came.
Way that I'm rushing.
Oh, excuse me. Like, especially during that build, you might have to automate the volume of your build down. Like, the vocals are just completely buried underneath that. And it would be one thing if you were like cutting the vocals up and they weren't saying a phrase, but the vocals are trying to speak to you through the speakers, and your build is just getting all on top of them and we can't hear it, you know? Like, for example, in my song Hot, where it's like, I keep repeating the same phrase over and over again, and I'm pushing it deeper into the mix as it's building up towards the drop. The vocals get lost in the drop, but the vocal isn't trying to sing a phrase or deliver an idea. It's just kind of being used as an effect at that point, right? I like the sound of the drums. The drums sound good. It's just, I think it's honestly mostly the bass thing that's getting you. And I think if Raham might have said something about the side chain being too deep. Yeah, I think you might be able to loosen off on that. Again, right here, see the vocals are trying to tell me something, but like the build is getting in the way again. You can get a lot more aggressive with your master too. I mean, like this style of music, you can do some dirty things to it, and because it's already so distorted and mangled, it doesn't kind of matter as much, right? You can get pretty aggressive with the master on this. I like this drop. I don't know about the silly beat boops though. I don't know. It's definitely it's going in a good direction, and I hope that some of those comments help you take it even further in that direction. But thanks for sending. Sounds good to me. All right, Cody. I hope you're here. This one is called Poison. I like this melody, but I have no clue what to do with it. March 15th. Well, those drums look fucking transient-y. Oh, let me, yeah, make sure I don't have stuff and things. Good. I almost, hear, oh yeah, that vocal thing. Let me take a wild stab here. I feel like now, I don't know, maybe that it's just really early on in the development of this idea, but like at this point we should probably have some sort of bass or some sort of like key, something that tells us what notes are happening in the track besides like this, because it kind of sounds like you're da na 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 na. I mean, like, you say you don't know what to do with it. It's cool what's there, but like there's no bass. Like that sounds like probably a pretty easy to pick next step to me. Okay, so here's what I think. I think, thank you for finally giving us bass. But also, let's see. I think a cooler bass progression or chord progression could be like B, G sharp, and then D sharp. So like this. I think that's I think that's your next step. I would try. I don't know if you like that or not, but I think it sounds right. I don't know. That do that. What you have here is a cool start to something, but that's about it. And now you need to keep going. And I think try that, and then you could bring in plucks and stuff that are playing around along with it. Anyway, I think it's cool, man. Keep going. Send it in next time. Send it in the next time. Okay, now we got Meta Archeon, the day before Thursday. That's called Wednesday, my dude. Hey guys, for some of the string songs, my first try to do and be a sound design, no idea mixing this is thanks to Multifox. Okay, let's have a listen. Oh, this is interesting. These drums sound very industrial. So the first thing I would say is I like the general atmosphere you've created in the intro, but these claps remind me of like eating an oatmeal cookie with chocolate chips in it. Like it kind of makes me want to eat a cookie right now. I don't know if they're the right fit for this style of music. So the next thing is the drums. I like the character of I like how much character they have, but they don't necessarily sound good for like a drop, like for the drop section, they don't have kind of the technical requirements that are required, hence the word requirement, in the drop. Like they don't have any real top end to them. The hi-hat is the only thing that's really bright in the drums. The kick and the snare are kind of like, to me, they sound like lo-fi drums that would maybe be in a build-up or a breakdown or something, where it's kind of like, okay, these are like shitty sounding drums, like dirty drums. They have character. They're interesting sounding, but they don't have the punch or the snap or the top end, the click, the sharpness, the edginess. They don't have what you need for a drop section, typically speaking, anyway. The next thing is the bass. Let me listen. Let's see what notes you're playing. Probably. So you're playing C, and C is challenging because it's kind of at the bottom of like before you. Okay, so I'd say this a lot on this thing that I do on Fridays, whatever it's called, a stream. Yes. Once you get below D, it starts to get really low. And then you have to, especially like B or A sharp, you kind of have to decide whether you're going to go down an octave or up an octave. Because, for example, if I go down and I play a B, that's too low for most people's sound systems to reproduce. So I would have to go up an octave. And now that's too high. So you're in this kind of like awkward zone, right? So that was B. You're playing a C, which is a little better, and you can sometimes get away with it. But some of the notes you're playing, they sound really muddy because I think you're playing a really low note. I also kind of, it almost sounds like or it sounds like you're doing like an octave thing in the sub. You're gonna have a much better time if you take this whole thing and shift it up to like D, D sharp, E, that kind of range. Because now you can play that. And that's nice and deep, but it's not so low as to make it inaudible for people's speakers to produce. So right off the bat, just pushing the track up, and if you're gonna write bass music, you typically keep it between like C sharp and like F sharp. And I hate to make rules or rules of thumb or any of that shit, but you're just gonna have a much easier time achieving like a deep sub sound without trying to decide if you should go up an octave or down. If you're trying to decide like, oh, that sounds too low, then maybe you should shift the key around a little bit. And that also goes for if your song has a chord progression that plays different chords. Well, maybe you're spending a lot of time not at the root of so if the song is in, like, I don't know, G, but you're spending a lot of time down in C, down at the C note because that's the way the chord progression. Maybe you decide to shift the key around until most of the chords are in the happy zone, Okay, let's keep going. So the biggest thing I think you should focus on right now is the bass area. Because if I go in here, let's just solo just the sub area. So you hear how there's no solid, like, this is the note that I'm playing, like, down in the bottom end. It's just kind of rumbly, and you hear, like, stuff bleeding down from above where we've cut off. Like, you hear stuff bleeding down from up here. And all we're really hearing is kind of, like, the kick drum and then stuff bleeding down from the next frequency range. That's kind of the biggest problem, that we're not hearing that C down there, right? So if you shifted it up, all of a sudden, you won't accept my EM. Will, stop. You've already done enough. That aluminum cost you money, and I want to buy the aluminum from you that cost you money, and you can help me for free, but I'm buying your aluminum from you. So don't donate subs. Anyway, that's what I think you should focus on. I have a video on my YouTube channel, shameless plug, with that has to do with sub separation, that explains a little bit better how to achieve like a solid sub bass down on the bottom end. So check that out after this, and then that might help as well. Let's keep listening. I also feel like you have like, you're maybe using reverb in places where you maybe shouldn't. I don't really know, but I think you have quite a bit of reverb on a few things here. I would maybe turn off all the reverb on the track, turn it all off, just deselect it or turn it off or wet dry all the way down and listen to it. And you might find, I'm not saying you can't use reverb, but I think the reverb is getting in the way of the bass on this.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Was that a synth saying Wednesday? Okay, so far I would say sub separation, that's going to get you, that's going to help you a lot. Chill out on the reverb or whatever that is. I'm not sure what that plugin is. But let's see, what's the tempo? Is it like 170? 173, thank you. Okay, now I'm just going to show you real quick, like you don't really have much top end in your drums, right? Now, I'm not saying that these are the right drums. I feel like I have to do that disclaimer every time. But let's just layer some drums that have top end in them. Okay, and now let's grab a kick with some top end in it. I just want to show you what it would sound like if your drums had a bit more top end. Sorry, I'm thinking and searching. Whatever. Let's try this. Sounds your sample pack for a start. That's a great question. I don't really make drum and bass, so even just the snare all of a sudden. So if we go back and forth. Oh, sorry. I didn't get your pattern right. Okay, and then let's go and grab some drum and bass loop out of some drum and bass folder. Sure. Cuz like the biggest thing this track is suffering from is like a lack of top end and a lack of bottom end. Like it's kind of like a mid-range banger, you know. And then I could go one step further, send this, high pass it. Let's get rid of, oh, that's not the right one. So I'm going to high pass your entire track, get rid of anything. And then I'm going to add back in a sub bass. Oops. So let's go like this. We'll go here and boom, 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 boom. So this is the notes. So let's just do it up at octave just to get the notes easier. Okay, now let's... Now you're hearing what I'm talking about. It's too low down here, right? So now I'm just like mangling this, but whatever. Let's put this up 2 semitones. Okay? And this is what I'm trying to explain to you. That this is, I think, an improvement, and it's not very difficult. You are gonna have to go find. You're gonna have to go find some drums and stuff. You know, you're gonna have to probably go. I don't use Splice, but it probably is a good solution for this sort of stuff. Anyway, let's check out the rest of the song real quick. I'll put it back down and I'll take the high pass off. And I like this new chord progression that's happening. Why didn't we get this sooner? Why like, to me, you could build a whole build-up section out of this chord progression. Yeah, I think bringing this stuff in before the drops and building like a build-up section on it is a good way to go too. Anyway, I hope that helps. Like I said, I got a couple tutorials on my YouTube that might help you out with that. So thank you for sending. Nice to meet you, and all the other stuff that I'm supposed to say. All right, let's check out. Hold on, let me delete this so I remember where I'm at. I need an intro. this part is sick. I like this part a lot. This part got a little bit dissonant because I feel like there's too much musical stuff in that sample that isn't necessarily agreeing with the other stuff that you've added to it. The first part it's a bit messy. Like there's conflicting notes everywhere in that spot. This part is sick though. Yeah, I listen, I like the idea of using that sample and I like it in theory, but there's just so many, like, it's like a full song with many notes. And imagine if you had all of the notes that they were playing in the song that you're sampling on the MIDI on the MIDI roll, and then you also have your notes and there's just like this stuff happening. I don't think it works currently because of that, because of the dissonance in all the chords and stuff that are happening. Yeah, I want to like it, but the dissonance in all of the music that is conflicting is just, I just can't, you know? But this part is sick. So I don't know if maybe it's a matter of tweaking this. Maybe you could try to isolate the vocals a little bit more, you know, EQ some of the low end out even more. I don't know, but right now there's too much dissonance happening. Even like that, I wonder if it's the delay. I don't know, man. Like I said, I want to like it, but there's just too much dissonance in it. So do what you will with that information. Okay, thank you for sending. We got Last Couple With Me by Sawyer. Here we go.
What you want when you hear with me? Watch it to my bed, come some way, I'll make your dance up. I'm going big, if you can't come, that's when I made a drop. I'm going in, make some love till I see and drink, and then repeat. Do what you want when you hear with me. Do what you want when you hear with me. Do what you want when you're here with me. Watch me do my. Come some way, I'll make it back. Do what you want when you're here with me. What you want when you're here with me? Do what you want when you're here with me. On somebody, I'll make you dance.
Wow, you never cease to amaze, Sawyer. Very loud indeed. Dion, I would, but I got one track left and I'm starving and I've been at it for 2.5 hours. So feel free to send your stuff in for next week. I do it every Friday. I don't have really any feedback for this style of music because I don't know what to say, but it was fun. I know it's the style. I think it's the style. But like, why can't the kick have a transient or a punch? Why? I don't know. Yeah, but it's rounded. It's like vum 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 instead of dun dun dun. Like, you know. I know it's the style. I think I know it's the style. Yeah, I know it's normal. Let me see if I could try to find, what is it, 150 or something? What's the tempo on this? Just make it clip. Trust me. Disable the limit. 200? That's so dumb. I know it's a style, but like, what if you were, imagine you were the pioneer and the thing that you pioneered, you got a Nobel Prize for adding a transient to this style of music, and you changed the world. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know this style of music at all. Anyway, I don't know what to tell you. I think it sounds loud and cool and funny. Thank you. All right. Last one of the day, Bryden Adams, which is almost Bryan Adams. Very dangerously close to Bryan Adams. You might get sued over that. Let's have a listen. Oh, God. Let's get rid of the 200 beat per minute. So, okay, so far this sounds great, dude. Like, musicianship-wise, it's all good. The problem I'm having is the stereo field, or lack thereof. Wow. Yeah, that was super great music. The recording and the production on it, you're gonna have to sort out how to get into the 3 dimensions of the, what you have to work with in the mix, because I feel like the guitar is only stereo because it has maybe chorus on it. I think did you just is everything here mono and then you've added either reverb or like I think the drums have a little bit of reverb. That's what's pushing them to the side. What techniques could best work for what instruments? Well, it depends. There's many different ways, but a very common way for this style of music is you could just record the guitar part twice. DI and then mic'd up on each neck and body. Yeah, it kind of just sounds a little. The guitar, it might not be the guitar. The guitar might not be the problem. I think the guitar would sound better though if you just performed it twice and hard panned it, or maybe not hard panned it. You could do 100% and see what it sounds like 100% left on one take, 100% right on the other take, or you could do something like 75, 75, something like that, right? But the drums are I think are the biggest problem, and a stereo overhead pair. Drums are so hard to get right. At least you're not trying to make a metal song, because that would be even harder. But at the very least, you should have some stereo overhead mics, and that will provide your stereo width, right? You might, for this style of music, you might have a kick mic and two stereo overhead mics. You might be fine with that. And then, you might have like a snare mic if the snare's not cutting through enough and stuff like that. I had snare kick 2 times, 2 overheads left and right. Well, did you not pan left and right? Because there's very little stereo on the drums at all. Like maybe your overheads are just too quiet. There is some stereo width, and it does sound like 2 overhead mics. But I think what you might have to do is put a little bit of bus compression on your overhead channels. What I would do with this track is I would spend like an hour just trying to get try increasing the stereo width from the mixer track, the master track. You mean like this shit? Yeah, I mean, when you turn up the stereo, I think it's doing the same thing as this, but when you turn it up, it immediately sounds wider and kind of better, but it's dirty. You have access to a stereo recording of these drums, right? So what I would do is if you had your stereo overheads in a track, I would compress them and get them up in the mix a little bit more without being too pokey. Like that's what the compressor's there for, right? Is to try and get like the tails of the drums and stuff to come up and fill in between the individual hits. But then you also might need to start looking into your phase correlation of all of your drum tracks, because if you hit your snare drum and the snare drum goes down and up and it sends that pressure wave, well, that pressure wave is going to hit the snare mic immediately, but it's going to take a certain amount of time to reach the overhead drums. And that's going to cause some phase cancellation in certain frequencies, depending on how far you have your drum mics up or down. I look like I'm jerking off 2 guys at the same time. So what I would say is if you look at your waveforms and you line up the phase, you might have to shift one of your tracks over ever so slightly to get the phase to get the phase lined up. I'm trying not to laugh at what I said. But that also could cause some weirdness in your overhead mics, because you might turn it up, but because the phase is opposite, you might get some cancellation. Yeah, so what you would do is you would zoom way in. So say you had, say that this is your stereo, this is your snare mic at the top, and then you look down and you see it shifted over ever so slightly like this, right? I'm not talking necessarily about the phase between the two left and right mics. I'm talking about the phase between the overheads and your direct drum mics. So do it this way then. Yeah. So this is like maybe this is your left and right, and they're all lined up. You don't have to be perfect, right? Like, they're never going to be perfect. This is real life. But if you say this, if I go like this and there we go. And make this a different color. So say this is these two are your overhead mics, and this is like your direct snare mic. It would be more like this, because your direct snare mic would get the signal sooner. What I would do is I would try to take your overheads and shift it over to be as aligned as possible with your direct mics, because your direct mics are going to be bang on time, right? As soon as you hit that snare, within reason, within a very small amount of time, that signal is going to hit the mic. So your direct, if this is your direct snare mic, this is the time. And then you'll find your overheads will look something like this. Maybe not, might not be that drastic. They might be just like this. But now you can see that you're going to have some phase cancellation at some point, at some frequency or some frequencies, if you don't shift it over to align it. But I think a combination of compressing your overheads so that they can be more present in the mix without emphasizing those transients too much, and lining up the phase with your drum mics. You also can say you didn't have your mics perfectly, say you didn't have your left and right mics perfectly aligned. You'll see you might see a little bit of a discrepancy, and you might just try shifting it back. Maybe this is your right mic and this is your left mic, and maybe your right mic was a little further away, so the signal's a little bit more delayed. You can just grab, what's up, Flav? You can just grab you can just line them up. You have the power to line all these things up visually, but also the only thing that really matters is the way that they sound. So a good place to start is to visually line them up as best as possible. But if you find for some reason that you shift this over and all of a sudden, the drums just wow, they just got way louder or something, then obviously trust your ears over your eyes. But yes, anyway, so my thoughts for this track are that it sounds great musically, but it's very mono and narrow, and that is holding back how full this could sound, because it just, you're not making use of the stereo field very, very much. I would also probably try, you can still mic up your guitar in a stereo fashion, but I would try doubling your guitar takes and then hard panning them left and right, because that's typically how most of this stuff is done, right? You might find that feels a little too wide, but then you always have the option to go back to your stereo mic'd guitars, and you also can control the stereo width a little bit easier with two separate takes, because the problem is that with the strumming guitar, if your performance isn't very consistent, then it can be a fucking mess, because there's so many transients and so many strum, and now there's two of those that aren't necessarily being strummed at the exact same time, and you might have to get in there and kind of tighten things up a little bit timing wise. That's the only bad thing about double taking, especially strumming acoustic guitars, although you seem like you're a great musician, so maybe that won't be a problem. But that it does tend to get a little messier, because every time you hit that, when you strum, you're hitting 6 strings at 6 different times. So that's already kind of messy. And now you want to record another take of you hitting 6 different strings at 6 different times. And now you want to put them on top of each other. It can get a bit messy time-wise and be a bit more messy. But it typically is the way. It typically is the way. Like Ozone, if there are any free alternatives, I could just see the stereo field. I'm sure there are. I mean, I just use this, so I don't really know. But there's probably like 100 free ones you could use. What are you recording in? To me, Pro Tools with Stones mixed in FL Studio. Okay. I bet you FL Studio. I wonder if Wave Candy. Let's open up another Wave Candy. It might just have one in it. Wave Candy. There we go. There we go. Vector Scope. There's a way. How the hell? I want the opacity. Where's opacity? Seriously? There's got to be a way. Maybe if I do a mid-side in the patch lanes as usual, I unplug that would work. There's no such thing as a free lunch. That's what I would say. I really want to figure out how to turn the opacity down. Oh, there. Yeah, okay, so there's the number one, the best way to get a stereo image is by recording a stereo recording, which you have done with your overheads, right? You have what you need. You don't need to artificially fuck with the phase in order to add width. You already have the width. You just got to bring it out in the mix more. And the way to do that is to compress the overheads and limit their dynamics so that you can push them up in the mix without them poking too far. I'm not sure about the Ozone thing being free, maybe. But yeah, that's what I would say. I think you've got most of what you need. You don't have a double recording of the guitar, but the guitar might not be a problem. Maybe if the drums spread out a little bit, then now the guitar is wide, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like it's on either side of me. It just sounds like it's kind of omnipresent in the entire width of the field. But maybe the drums being mono-ish is really what's holding this back. And you have the tools to fix that. You just got to figure out how to properly compress. Drum compression is hard, especially with acoustic drums. Which a little bit more and test out a few different things, see what that works best. Yeah, I think like I said, I mean, like, the thing is with this style of music, the production and the mix and the master don't all have to be incredible, because it's you know, the style, it's music. It's real music, and I hesitate to say that because now it sounds like I'm saying electronic music isn't real music, but this is less about the production and more about the performance, as opposed to electronic music is more about the production a lot of the times and less about the performance. In fact, there may be zero performance. It might all be programmed with a mouse. And maybe it's controversial to say, but it's not really a performance in the sense that you're performing an instrument with an instrument. You are performing by producing. So you can kind of get away with less than perfect production on this style of music, and it still be a good piece of work. But obviously you want it to be the best it can be. And I think in order to do that, you're going to have to learn how to do parallel compression, learn how to do bus compression, maybe try to find some a few different compressors to try out on drums, because working with acoustic drums is so hard. So don't feel bad if you're struggling with it, because it's fucking hard. It's very, difficult to make them sound good. They mostly just sound like demo. Like whenever I try to record acoustic drums, they just sound like I'm doing a demo for like a high school band or something, you know? So don't feel bad. Compressors I would recommend. It's less about the compressor and more about your comfort level, in my opinion. So there's better sounding compressors and everything, but I would take a compressor that didn't sound quite as good but was easier to use, because you got to think, any given compressor, a professional who knows everything there is to know about compressing could make any compressor sound good, right? But you could be handed the best compressor in the world and you might not be able to make it sound good. So to me, the most important thing is the user interface and the information it gives you. Because the good thing about this is it's very easy to see this historical scrolling graph. It's very easy to see how it's reacting. So I guess to go back to my original thought, I would rather have a compressor that I could get the best result with than a compressor that I don't know how to use that maybe could sound better, but I would never be able to achieve that. Anyway, I'm starving. I've eaten exactly one meal today, and that is not enough for a grown boy. So I am going to go eat. Thank you everybody for sending. I know that you sent one in, Flav. Send it next week. I'm starving. Yeah, send it next week. Have a good weekend. I love you and all the other things that I say. By the way, I hope you know it was 157 the whole time. Oh my God, really? Why? Why was I unable to figure that out? Maybe I like slightly pitch shifted it or something. I have no idea. I don't know why you would do a fraction. I've done it by accident before. I put out a song, and it was like 97.34 or something like that, because I went up to FL Studios like BPM thing and I slid it a little wrong or something. Yeah, it happens. But anyway, yeah, and maybe somebody wants to do it. And maybe it's the same as like that 432 hertz camp, you know, like, oh my God, A440, that's garbage. We want A432 or whatever the frequency is. I don't know. Maybe 97.43 just felt right. You know, 97.44 was way too fast and 97.42 is way too slow, but 97.43 was great. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking and start eating. I love you all. Have a great weekend and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.